I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume, so I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. We continue in the Gospels. Christ is still in Galilee because everybody in Jerusalem is trying to kill him. We had the Sermon on the Mount, a lot of healing, a lot of miracles going on. We're in another discourse. Now we have reached the point of the parables, not all the famous parables, but we're going to be reading a lot of parables now. And in our last reading, we read in Matthew the parable of the sower. Seed and by the wayside, in stony ground, and thorns, and in good ground. The nice parable of the sower. Now, we are going to read the same parable again in Mark. Just see if there's anything new, different. In this video, we have a Joseph Smith translation. Now, what the Joseph Smith translation is, this is a translation or correction done by Joseph Smith to restore those passages that have been lost or corrupted over the years. This is Mark chapter 4. We're reading verses 1 through 20. And he began again to teach by the seaside, and there was gathered unto him a great multitude, so that he entered into a ship and sat in the sea, and the whole multitude was by the sea on the land. And he taught them many things by parables, and said unto them in his doctrine, Hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow, and it came to pass as he sowed, some fell by the wayside, and the fowls of the air came and devoured it up. And some fell on stony ground, where it had not much earth, and immediately it sprang up, because it had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no fruit. And other fell on good ground, and it yielded fruit that sprang up and increased, and brought forth some 30, and some 60, and some 100. And he said unto them, He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. Almost exactly from Matthew. I'm not going to make too many comments, but I do want to mention again, multitude so big that Christ is going out into a ship so he can get away from the shore. So Christ does not like being mobbed by the crowd. He wants his personal space. So he's going out on the ship. We read that in Matthew 2. Just notice that. He does that a lot, where he separates himself a little bit from the crowd. He doesn't want to be too thronged by the crowd. Now, on that other last one, that phrase, He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. Remember that Christ teaches in parables so that those who have the Spirit can understand, but those who don't have the Spirit won't understand. And that's what he's saying here. He gives the parable and he says, if you have the Spirit to understand this, you will understand it. That's what he's saying. Let us continue here now, verse 10. And when he was alone, they that were about him with the 12 asked of him the parable. And he said unto them, Unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God, but unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables, that seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear and not understand, lest at any time they should be converted, and their sins should be forgiven them. And he said unto them, Know ye not this parable? And how then will ye know all parables? The sower soweth the word, and these are they by the wayside, where the word is sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately, and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts. And these are they likewise which are sown on stony ground, who, when they have heard the word, immediately receive it with gladness, and have no root in themselves, and so endure but for a time. Afterward, when affliction or persecution ariseth for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. And these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, and the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lusts of other things entering in, choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful. And these are they which are sown on good ground, such as hear the word, and receive it, and bring forth fruit, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. Again, very much like Matthew, almost no difference. There's a different wording, but no difference in meaning. Everything is the same. Let us look now at the Joseph Smith translation. Mainly just some simple grammatical changes here. In verse 2, instead of and said unto them, it's and he said unto them, simple. In verse 8, says, and other fell on good ground, and we have the correction, and other seed fell on good ground. And then near the bottom, it's 30-fold, and some 30 and some 100. So minor corrections there. But verse 10 does have this. And when he was alone with the 12, and they that believed in him, they that were about him with the 12 asked of him the parable. So he wasn't alone. We know that, as it says, because when he was alone, those who were about him, he obviously wasn't alone. But this clarifies. After the crowd had left, he gives this parable. And then after the crowd leaves, his disciples, the inner circle, the 12, and those who are the true believers, come to him and ask the meaning. And he says, I'll tell you the meaning, but those people who are already left, they don't need to know. Now, continuing on, verse 11, at the end there it says, all these things are done in parables. Just the word these is removed. All things are done in parables. In verse 15, we change sown to sowed. Minor grammatical update. In verse 16, it says, and these are they likewise which are sown on stony ground. We have the correction, and these are they likewise who receive the word on stony ground. Again, just minor clarification there. Verse 17, we add the word and, so they endure but for a time, and afterward, when afflictions or persecution ariseth. Minor. Verse 18 states, and these are they which are sown among thorns. Again, we have the correction, and these are they who receive the word among thorns. And in verse 20, and these are they which are sown on good ground, is again corrected to who receive the word on good ground. So I do find that interesting that he's in each verse, he's clarifying these are the people who receive the word. But all generally minor corrections or clarifications. So we leave that here. I believe we're going to read this one more time in the book of Luke. And then we'll be reading other parables, because there are a lot of parables coming up. It's not all the parables, but a lot of them. So I will see you there.